We may be running on the hottest day in the history of the world, which would be amazing.
For crazy people like you, it's amazing.
Epic if we could get to.
Oh, the irony. Dr. Tim Deere is renowned worldwide for his work in helping people manage their pain. He travels the globe teaching other doctors his innovative ways, cutting-edge techniques that allow patients to put an end to their suffering. And ironic because, well, Deere himself is a glutton for punishment. He seems to love being tortured. And in the next few months, he's about to put himself through a serious test with a brutal stretch of races that are going to challenge him mentally in every way possible. You and I might consider this masochistic, but to Tim Deere, pushing himself to the limit makes him feel alive.
So it didn't harm me.
Tim Deere isn't like the rest of us.
Hey Siri, what's the weather?
It's currently partly
81.
degrees. Expect mostly
Heat index is 88.
Not hot enough for you.
No.
Hey Siri, we need it to be 135, please.
I hope it hits 135. That'd be awesome, dude. I mean, I ran the hottest day in the history of the world.
Tim Deere is built just a little bit different.
The hottest place in the world ever, hottest recorded temperature was in a place called Stovepipe Wells, 134 degrees in 1908. Hotter than Africa, hotter than anywhere else. And now they're saying that this year may break that because there's already been 130 this year.
Wow.
Out there. So we may be running on the hottest day in the history of the world, which would be amazing.
Crazy people like you, it's amazing.
Epic if we could get to.
Oh my. Things that you and I wouldn't even think about attempting are things that Deere does for fun. Hey Tim, people are going to ask why? Why do this?
This lets you push your mind and body to the limit and show what you're going to show yourself what you're going to achieve.
This summer, Deere is training for what he calls the gauntlet. 3 races which include more than 250 miles of running, with a full Ironman event mixed in there as well.
What a gorgeous day.
It starts with the Badwater 135, known as the world's toughest foot race. People from all over the world apply to take part in the fun, but only 100 runners are accepted.
From Charleston, West Virginia, Timothy Deere.
Yes, yes, yes.
100 people like Tim Deere who seem to thrive under the harshest conditions.
I train about 20 hours a week.
It's like suffering can either hurt you or help you. If you're suffering and you can embrace that, and learn from it, it helps you. It's like, when you go in the desert, people ask about the desert, it's like a furnace, but furnace can melt you or furnace can mold you, man. I mean, it comes out of, it's up to your mindset, what you want those suffering moments to give you.
Deere knows all about those moments, and those moments have most certainly helped mold him.
I was primarily a marathon. I've done the Boston Marathon 15 times, and hey, morning.
Morning, guys.
Morning. And done New York and LA and Berlin and Paris, and I got kind of bored with that.
Deere estimates he's taken part in 20 to 30 half marathons, 50 more full marathons, 25 full distance Ironmans, and a handful of 100+ mile ultra marathons. His top achievements include breaking 3 hours at the Boston Marathon, taking part in the Boston Marathon the year after the bombings, his first experience at Ironman Hawaii, and his first time running the Badwater race in 2019.
I have 4 children, you can't pick one. I can't pick one, but it would be those things, the Boston things we talked about, Ironman Hawaii the first time, and then the Badwater. And I'm hoping this Badwater tops that Badwater.
You said you're running 3 times today?
Yeah, I ran at 6, came back to the office at 7:30, met Kelly, ran hills with Kelly, came back, and now I'm running this run, and halfway through this run, I'm gonna go throw in some heavy fleece and a hat, try to get a little hotter for some heat acclimation.
His resume is impressive, but even more so when you consider this. Deere didn't even begin his pursuit of the unthinkable until the age of 30. It all began in 1994 when a friend asked if he wanted to give the Charleston distance run a shot.
So Kim McNeil, about July 4th, asked me to go for a run with him. We ran up Oakwood Road. It was a steep climb, and it almost killed me. I'm like, dang, this is hard.
It was hard, but Deere was hooked. And as it turns out, it was an outlet.
A lot of times it looks like if you talk to psychologists, people that are good at endurance, they've either suffered in childhood, they've either suffered in life, and they take some of that psychological suffering, they transfer that over to physical suffering, but there's some healing there.
So let me ask you, I mean, where's the root of it for you, do you feel?
You know, I think there's a couple of places. My dad and grandpas were coal miners, and I watched them suffer in the mines, and it was a very different type of suffering, but they endured it. Watched that endurance they had. And then as a kid, my dad left when I was pretty young, and had some emotional trauma there, which I think is one of the things you find very common among really people that do endurance for years and years and years.
Deere has withstood a tremendous amount of pain through his athletic feats, but he's also been rewarded with a whole lot of satisfaction.
I'm the only person over 200 pounds who's ever finished that race. I was 201 last time. I'm about 195 this year. Most of these guys are about 160, 150, 140.
A former football player, Deere has a much larger frame than his competition. Plus, he's an amateur in the endurance world, going head-to-head against professionals.
Well, there's two things I like. You know, one is when you're passing a really small guy in a race about mile 80, and you know he was way ahead of you about 20 or 30 miles, and now he's suffering. I won the Keys 50-miler a few years ago and beat all the pros because it was 108 degrees that day. And they were all way ahead of me, and then about mile 35, 40, they started dropping like flies, you know, these little fellows. And so I like that. The other thing I like when you do Ironman, you write your age on the back of your right calf. When they mark you, that's so you can tell what age group you're in. So, you know, I'm now going to be 57 soon. So when I'm passing like people in their 20s, they see my calf. I love that, you know. It's like, oh, look at the calf, you know. So my day will come. I'm sure that I'll be slowing down a lot more here soon. I've already slowed down some with age.
That day comes for all of us at some point, something Deere has made peace with. How much of a challenge is it for you to keep up with your training schedule and also your other responsibilities that you have? Because you have some pretty big responsibilities.
Well, you know, there's two things to that. One is priorities, you know. I've always said God, family, work. If you think about God, family, work, part of your family is health. So I consider exercise part of your family life. Because if you're unhealthy and die at 40 of a heart attack, you haven't done your family any good.
And knowing he has unconditional love waiting for him at the finish line or back home in West Virginia is something that helps Deere overcome the mental adversity that's sure to come at some point in the heat of battle, at some point in the midst of the grind.
When you're out there suffering on top of a mountain, you draw from those who love you. And what I mean by that is, you know that your wife and kids and friends are going to love you if you finish it or not. So you don't have to finish. You know, you want to finish these endurance things, but you don't have to finish these endurance things. So, because you know, when you think about, you know, the midnight on the second night of 2 nights of running 30, 40 hours in a row without rest or sleep, and you get a little emotional, you say, you know what? If I fell over now and just stopped and quit the race, nothing changes. You're still with your same friends and family, and that's really, I think that's something that really comforts you. And then you say, nah, I'm gonna keep going.
This is why we run. Get outside, man. And indoor living will kill you.
I mean, is there a better way to start the day, right?
No better way.
Dr. Deere is quickly approaching the age of 60, but has no plans on slowing down anytime soon. Turns 57 in August, but says some of his biggest challenges are still ahead of him. He's not ready to divulge some of those challenges just yet, but stay tuned. There are more chapters left to be written in the story of Dr. Tim Deere.